Don't miss any of the action as your K-Wings take on the Florida Everblades in games 1 and 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals this Friday and Saturday. Face-off for both games set for 7:30, and all hot dogs are 25 cents. For tickets, call 345-5101. In their first practice since clinching a berth in the Eastern Conference Finals, the media was out in full force to watch the Kalamazoo Wings get set for their Game 1 matchup against the Florida Everblades this Friday night at Wing Stadium. After the skate, we had a chance to catch up with Kory, Karlander, Elgin, Reid, and head coach Nick Bootland as the K-Wings prepare for their Eastern Conference clash.
Kory, K-Wings in the conference final, second straight year. Last year, you guys were more of the hunter. This year, more of the hunted. Has the role? Do you feel the role changing?
I think we probably did last round, and to be honest, up until after the game on Saturday night, I don't think anybody thought about being in the conference championship second straight year. I think once you win that one loss at 3-1, and especially the fear of having to come traveling all the way back and playing on a Monday, I think we did a real good job of making it top priority and focusing all of our energy on winning Saturday night, and enjoying the thought of being in the conference finals 2 years straight. It's pretty much going to end today or tomorrow, and it's going to be trying to figure out a way to do what every other team has been able to do with Florida so far.
Florida's played well, almost similar to what you guys did at the end of last year going into the postseason. They're a team that also you guys knocked off last year, similar to what we talked about in Wheeling. Do you feel that they're going to be using that as motivation coming this year, starting on Friday?
Yeah, I think any team does. I think Wheeling did. They may not have expressed a lot, but I think as a player, if we ended up against a team that knocked us off, I think it would be the same, that same extra motivation. It's kind of like, losing one game when you're on the road for 2 or 3 against a team. It has that kind of that energy to make the winning team complacent and the team that lost even more motivated. So I think that's definitely got to be there for them.
You guys went 2-2-0-1 against the Everblades, but they're the team that gave you the worst regular season beating back in Florida. How much do you guys use that in motivation here in the postseason? Well,
I think getting out and enjoying the sunshine will be as much of a priority for us this time. The bottom line is, they finished very strong, and they were probably playing as good a hockey as they are now when we saw them last. Our lineup's changed a lot since the tail end of the season, and we're healthier now. So I think it sets the stage for a real competitive series.
The two top offensive teams in the Kelly Cup playoffs will do battle, but both teams not getting a lot of credit for your defense. 7 of the 9 games that you guys played in the postseason, you've held your opponents to 2 goals or less. Florida's been very stingy defensively as well. How much do your defense on both sides get overshadowed by how much goals you guys can score?
Yeah, it's nicer showing goals in the highlights than good defensive play, but defense wins championships. It doesn't matter if it's the NFL or the NHL or any level of pro hockey. Defense is huge, and like I said, it doesn't make the highlight reel a lot, but we've kind of been unhappy with our defensive play, both penalty killing and even strength up to this point, and so we're kind of gaining a little bit of momentum as far as our defensive play goes. We're finally buying in as a full 19 guys each night, and we're on top of things a lot more. We need to continue to improve in that area.
Elgin, I learned a new exciting stat about you, and I'm sure you're tired of hearing about it, but apparently you used to play for the Florida Everblades. How tired are you hearing about that after a full season in Kalamazoo?
Yeah, it's something, we've already been down there on that road trip, and we played them 6 times already this year, and, guys bring it up, but really there's only a couple guys on that team that I played with last year anyways, so besides the coaching staff, so it's honestly not something I've even thought about. We're going down there on a business trip to get a job done, and that's all we're thinking about.
The guys that were here last year know what it feels to go through the conference finals. You talked about it. Everyone has playoff experience. Have you guys even let the imagination run on what happens if you guys get 4 more wins?
It's tough not to think about it, but I think we're trying to focus on one game at a time here. We don't want to look too far ahead of ourselves here. Florida's got a good team. They obviously work hard. They're on a hot streak right now, and we're going to have to. It's going to be a tough series, and I think we're really both teams are evenly matched, and it's going to be a hard-fought series. And so we're focused on Friday right now. We're not looking too far ahead.
The comparison with you in Florida may be fair in this sense. Last year with the Everblades, you took on a Kalamazoo Wings team that in the first round went into it red hot, winners unbeaten regulation in 17 straight games. Florida goes 8-2 in the last 10 games of the regular season. They're 7-1 in the postseason. Again, your job is to try to stop one of the hottest teams in the ECHL.
Yeah, like I said, and you see that in playoffs all the time. A 5 or a 6 seed that goes into the playoffs on a winning streak and takes out a couple top teams, and that's what they've done. And they're obviously doing the right things down there, and they're playing well, and they got good goaltending and depth on defense and scoring. Like I said, I think both teams are really, really evenly matched when you look at it. I think it's going to be a good series, a hard-fought series. I think it's going to be fun to play. You go
2-2, 0-1 against them in the regular season. You get 5 out of 6 points at the Germain Arena, but all that I hear you guys talk about in the locker room is the loss that they gave you. That was the worst defeat of the regular season. How much is that the battle cry, and how much do you try to remember that in this series to try to pull you guys through?
Yeah, you're always going to have those games during the season where, I think it was 4-3 in the third period at one point, and it ended up 9-3. A few bad bounces and a couple of really late goals for them that, were some bad bounces. But that being said, we didn't have a great game, and you always keep that kind of stuff in the back of your mind and use it as motivation and remember what that feeling was in the locker room afterwards.
All media and all fans talking about how good this offense is for the Kalamazoo Wings. Tops in the ECHL. Florida's number 2. Both teams aren't getting the respect defensively, which you look at 7 of the 9 games Kalamazoo has kept their opponents 2 goals or less. Is the defense going a little under the radar, and is that a bad thing this time of year?
Well, I think that's why we've been successful so far, is because we've really started to focus more on our defensive game. I think we've got enough natural offensive skill up front and on the back end that it's going to come naturally. And if we take care of our own end properly and do the right things defensively, we've started to see that the offense is going to take care of itself. So, and obviously Gilly's been playing real well for us, and that's a huge help too.
Nick, you enjoyed the Eastern Conference semifinal victory for a total of 10 minutes. I kept track on the bus, and the attention finally went to the conference finals. A Florida team that you respected in the regular season, and obviously that respect has grown considering how they closed out the regular season.
Absolutely. They're the hottest team in the league. They've played the last, 25 games, and they've got the best record in the ECHL in those 25 games. And, they're going to be a true test for us to see where we stand against these guys, and we're excited to get started.
Kalamazoo, the 3rd seed, Florida, the 5th seed, not many points separating them in the standings. You made the comment on Monday, you felt you guys maybe the role of the underdog based on what you've been hearing.
Yeah, you see how they've been going through the postseason and losing 1 game in the postseason so far, and we're fine with that. We do have home ice, but in the ECHL with that 2-3-2 setup, that home ice is very important. Those first 2 games are huge for us.
What do you guys got to do Friday night in particular to be successful?
I think it's execution and making sure that our legs are ready to go. We talked about this break the last time we had the 5 days off, and we really focused on that first 10 minutes and making sure that we're prepared to start the right way. You don't want to be battling back in playoff games. It's even harder to do that, and not saying that you always have to score the first goal, but you just have to be playing well in that first period.
It's kind of funny. You look at offense. Both teams are top 2 scoring teams in the Kelly Cup playoffs, but both teams got to the finals because of their defense, also in the top 4.
Yeah, you look at both teams, and we're very similar all over the place. You look at goaltending on both sides is excellent. You look at the defensive depth, and you look at the scoring from 3 lines. Really, you're looking in the mirror at each other when you look at the type of depth we have.
Your depth right now has been outstanding. I know there's a couple guys banged up, as you would expect this time of year, but it seems that it's been a different guy each night leading the way to victory.
Well, and that's what you need to be successful in the postseason, is have a different line, a different player, a defense core, someone stepping up, and we've had that so far. And you need to continue to have that to have success. And, against this Florida team, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a dogfight every single night. We've got to make sure that we're prepared.
Power play, special teams in general have helped the way as well. 4 for 5 to close out the series in South Carolina. Your penalty kills allowed 2 goals against in the postseason, 1 off the skate and in off a K-wing member, and an odd man rush. And if that's the effort you're going to get, you're going to see a lot of success down in the postseason.
Yeah, we have to continue to work on that. You look at Florida's power play, and you look at the timeliness of the goals they've scored in this postseason with their power play, and you have to make sure that we're at our best, and we're going to be making sure that we're making those proper tweaks when we see them again and watching video this week.
Games 1 and 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals are at Wing Stadium this weekend, Friday and Saturday at 7:30. Tickets available now by calling the ticket office at 269-345-5101.